Look down the barrel of the gun.
Don't do that. Unless you want to.
Nah, that's right. So, boys, episode 20. How are we feeling?
Very good. That's your most low-key intro, yeah.
I know, I've kept myself quite chill, calm, collected.
Incredibly natural.
Usually you feel the start of an episode of Joga Bonito hosted by Luke when he's going to do the intro by the deepest breath possible. So yeah. I like that, yeah. More low-key today.
Nice and calm.
Yeah. Episode 20, we've made it.
I know. What a milestone. 2 direct milestones today, actually.
20's plenty, some may say.
Yeah.
20's plenty. My policy for tickets, football games?
Sorry?
I was going to say that's my policy for football games, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Used to be your policy when you were on the pool in Wunderbar. Is that true?
And absolutely not.
I prefer not to speak much.
The pool, what's that?
Married man. What is your other milestone today?
So we've hit 1,000 followers on Instagram.
We did.
And thanks everyone for their support, it's been great.
Has been great.
Yeah.
Been loving it, yeah?
Yeah.
It's good for us. It's been a bit more steady than the TikTok. That's doing well too. We hit 3,000 times as well, so just keep on growing.
But I think that's to be expected. Instagram's a wee bit more difficult to crack.
It's a bit of a slow burner.
I mean,
It's like a British artist trying to crack America. A podcast trying to crack Instagram is a bit tougher than TikTok.
I know. The similarities were like Oasis in the 90s, you know.
Exactly.
Crack into the US market.
TikTok loves us, but can we?
Maybe we found out we're just too cool for Instagram. A bit like Oasis in America. They're like,
I don't know.
Screw that. Like we're TikTok merchants.
The Gen Z in me kind of thinks Instagram's a bit cooler than TikTok, but
It might be. Yeah. Don't say that to TikTok followers though.
oh sorry. Wow, I take that back. Josh Windass. I apologise.
Dylan Easton.
Dylan Easton, yeah.
Big friends of the pod.
Big friends of the pod. Yeah.
Maybe they follow us on Instagram as well. Who knows?
I'm not.
I think you would be on top of that. You would.
Yeah.
Look.
Callum did it. Nah, Callum did that's a truth.
I mean like
had
you would be on top of it as in
of
you
course,
would post
Of course,
that.
we've had some good likes on the Instagram though. We had some good names liking the videos.
Yeah.
I remember video 1. Who was liking that? Like,
Who was
you were telling me.
Sharon Maguire.
Yeah, legend. Absolute hero.
She's a day one, to be fair.
Shout out. You were saying Jonathan Sutherland. Was
Yeah,
liking our
Jonathan.
Instagram reels from the start. True fan.
True fan.
Big fan of the podcast.
Him and Cammy Will.
Oh,
True friends of the pod right there.
Trying to get some hosting tips from Fraser. Perhaps.
Well, if Johnny Sutherland wants to reach out to me for any tips,
You on Johnny basis?
Yeah, wow. Okay.
There you go.
He knows where to find me.
Yeah, we were saying,
We'll
Luke.
put that just down here somewhere.
Brackets, he doesn't know where to find me. But he
Just comment, yeah. Luke, we were saying actually, we were having a chat with Fraser, we need to do some sort of TikTok challenge involving pundits in some sort of way.
Yeah,
Right. No, the people can know.
Yeah.
There's nothing more than that.
the people
real
have
fans.
to know.
I thought you were going to drop this great idea.
The real fans
Yeah.
can know.
Well, true.
As in we did the big pundit fight that one, mascot fight one time.
Yeah,
We did a
yeah.
pundit fight.
Wow, that'd be something else.
My money's on Big Ryan Stevenson's on my
Our money was on Luke not enjoying that one at all.
That was what we
Sitting
also
sweating in the.
I'm giving all this for a job.
I think they would all win.
just want to say they're both really nice guys from my time working at the BBC.
And Clyde won. Which one do you prefer? Like, I like them both. Clyde won and BBC. Who do you prefer?
Let's move on, please.
He's got some
Clyde won
proper
BBC.
managerial lines up his. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
but they've
they've
dropped my PR in my ear,
both
so
put
shut up.
both put some great performances in. You know.
Gun to your head. Clyde won or BBC?
No.
Oh, he's clearly
That's
BBC. With that impartiality, it's BBC for sure. Sitting on the fence like that, BBC.
I've got the PR in my head.
This is the correct answers from Luke Wright. Or what about the wee shop?
The wee shop. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
You know, you could never prioritise any of them over the other. So, man with many
There's
jobs.
only one answer there. Come on.
What's that?
Who was there first? Who did you work for first?
Worked for the BBC first.
Oh right, well, no, he's let his mask down there. BBC it is.
According to your logic. Well, we love them all. We love them all equally around here, and thank you for taking Luke off our hands a few days a week. Of course, there's that. Today's episode, then, boys. We're going to jump into that
Well, I think
because
we should,
it's still the off season, as the kids would say, pre-season days. Still waiting for competitive football to come back. I'm getting a bit itchy. You know, pre-season friendlies have started off.
Yeah.
I don't know
What have
if
you been doing, Callum, to prepare for the next season?
I've been getting sunburn. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
Yeah, nice burn there, mate.
10 reps of sunburn in the morning.
From my game in Lithgow this weekend. So not too much. I've also got the weirdest, I don't know if this will pick up on camera. See this little patch of red there?
Yeah.
That's because
I can
it
see
was sunny, but it's obviously Scottish summer, so it's like sunny. It's kind of warm at bits, really windy and cold at other bits.
Yeah.
So I had my jacket on, but I had the sleeve like that. But then I was wearing a watch, so now I've just got one tiny patch of red on my sleeve from being at Linlithgow, who beat the Rovers this weekend.
Yeah,
Quite a few surprise results in the friendlies. I don't know if you saw East Kilbride beating Dunfermline.
Did they really?
Yeah, I did see that. John, did you see the goal?
It was a lovely finish. Yeah,
it was
yeah.
nice, actually. Yeah.
And then
Was it 1-0?
1-0, John
1-0.
Robertson.
which young Dunfermline team I think as well. But obviously FALKIRK 3-0 down at home to Edinburgh City at half time as well.
Yeah.
On just on Dunfermline, did you see Callum's bite back to the Dunfermline fan on TikTok?
No, I didn't actually. No.
Professionalism down the pan.
That wasn't. There could have been any of us that commented that. I thought that was you, Fraser.
Yeah, I know Fraser has something
What was it
against
the
them.
Dunfermline fan commented?
Oh, he was like, "Oh, you should burn that rave shirt."
Oh, that
Oh,
was it. And
jeez.
Callum responded, "Oh, fair play. Didn't realise you discovered fire yet." Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't me, so it was either one of you two. My money is
could have been
on.
Yeah, it should have been, yeah.
It should have been. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It could have been. Yeah, look, it was a fair point.
Could have been producer Jack.
Could have been producer Jack if he's got somehow got the logins.
Could have
in.
been Kevin Maguire.
Could have been Big Kev.
Or it should have been
Aaron
Aaron.
Fraser. Yeah.
No, no, Joga Bonito FC, that is. I mean, look, that's obviously what they've scared me off wearing a rave shirt this week. So you won. The trolls have won. Yes, again.
Jack Bowles FC.
We do.
That's the one.
We're
Oh,
loving
I
it.
support your shirt as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Cheers,
a quality one. Subtle.
Yeah.
It's a more downplayed look Maguire today. With the kit back top on and the more subdued intro. But talk us through.
Did you
your
steal this kit from a kid as well? Like the last one?
No.
No? Okay.
Did you steal this one from a charity? I hope you didn't.
I didn't steal it from a charity.
Good.
But I gave money to a charity.
You'll have to see.
So you bought it,
Yeah, I bought it, yeah. So Chip
at the Leith Archers event.
Yes, I did, yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Shout out to Kit Back.
Yeah, him a shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, good friend. They're looking smart, Luke.
Cheers, man.
You ever considered maybe giving that one back?
He's not taking that one back.
Yeah, no, he hasn't.
No, he's certainly not. But so off season, we're filling this time up nicely, I'd say, and we're going to have our previews for the leagues coming up, which is going to sort of feed up perfectly to the start of the league season. Last week we looked ahead to the League Cup groups, which will be starting in a week's time. Very excited for that, most certainly. But for now, we're going to do a bit more of a deep dive into Scottish Premiership because I feel like we talk about the Championship a fair amount on this podcast.
Yeah.
And as of now, obviously Luke's got his heart's leanings as well, but we did start his podcast off with 3 Championship teams. Now Luke's got 2 Premiership teams, I suppose. So we've got a bit more Premiership chat to do, and we're going to identify a key area to focus on for each Premiership club. We've got 4 each. We're going to go through. So I don't know, where should we start off? I think a good place to start off would be, why don't we start off with Rangers? I think there's been plenty of discussion there. And I would believe that is one of Fraser's teams. So Fraser, what is your area of focus for Rangers?
I would just like to clarify one of Fraser's teams. There's only one team for me. 2 teams. Ayr United and Scotland. Okay, let's just set the record straight. With that TikTok that you did me in the other day, Callum.
Well, by using the things you said.
When I punched there and said one of the jerseys, that was tongue in cheek. And I'm not in fact a Rangers fan. But no, I'm really intrigued by Rangers actually. They're one of my...
I love Rangers.
I said that.
He brings it on himself. Blames me.
No, I'm really intrigued by Rangers. The previous managerial appointments like Philippe Clement was interesting, but did it get me excited to see what Rangers were going to be like? No, not really, if I'm being honest. But that's as a neutral. Obviously, I'm sure that was different for Rangers fans themselves. This season,
Tell us what's the thing they need to focus on first.
of course,
We'll get into this.
So recruitment to suit Russell Martin and his style of play.
Okay, I see where you're going into that now. Yeah.
So, and this season, I actually, if I was a Rangers fan, I'd be quietly confident and quite excited. I think it's an Ange Postecoglou-esque.
That's a big shout.
That's quite bold, actually.
Ange Postecoglou sort of came in.
I'm going to argue
Postecoglou
Postecoglou did a lot more winning coming in.
That's true. That's true. But I'm not likening them at all in any way in terms of like substance. But it's a managerial appointment where, the other fan base is kind of looking at it thinking useless.
Yeah. As are quite a few Rangers fans, unfortunately.
Exactly. The actual fan
say.
base are looking at it thinking, oh, that's like this isn't going to go well. Slightly disappointed disappointed in some ways. But Ange Postecoglou obviously came in. It didn't take him long. It took him a few months, if he start, but he implemented his style of play and changed the face of Scottish football, really, and Celtic. And I think Russell Martin, I don't think he'll have as an immediate impact as Ange Postecoglou did, but I think long term for Rangers, I think he's going to do really good things. So he might not.
I'd jump in there as well. Obviously, you mentioned the recruitment there at the start as well, which is going to be really important because it does look like they could be losing quite a few key players, but that might, in process, bring a fair bit of funds to spend as well. Obviously, Hamza Igamame being linked away. We don't know what's happening at this time, but the fees that are being said for him, if you're looking at a £15-20 million pound fee, could really give them a chance to rebuild that squad.
A wee boost.
Well, that's it. So obviously, it's difficult because you look at a team like Rangers and you think if they're going to catch Celtic, then they need to keep Raskin, they need to keep Ikamane. Even actually now, I must say I was critical of Dessers in the past, but I think a fantastic player. And
the goal return does speak for itself,
and if it looks like they're going to lose him as well. So it's difficult to say, if they're going to catch Celtic, to lose these players, that's not a great thing. But if they can get £5 million for Cyril Dessers, if they can bank, Igamane, I think they would be well within their rights to be pushing for 20 million for him. He's young enough, he's shown enough quality, I think, to be getting a fee that high. Maybe they could even try and get a little bit more. It's likely that maybe get around 15-20 million, but they get that added to the coffers, and if they sort of if they recruit well with Russell Martin's blessing, and find someone like Igamane from, was it Moroccan? He came from someone like that for a smaller fee, then it could be they could have a lot of success. So
explain Moneyball there. I like it. But I do agree. I think they could use that money, spend it wisely. You said maybe a bit more sort of left field signings would do them well. Maybe obviously they've made signings of the, let's say, the ilk of Jack Butland. Maybe Max Aarons fits that already. Which maybe a bit of a safer bet, but maybe not is what's going to turn the dial. So you think maybe just to finish it off, a few left wing signings that could sort of come out of nowhere and be impact players?
I think so. I think Rangers fans will be looking for big sort of name signings. I think Russell Martin will be looking more for more astute signings. On that note, Max Aarons was one of the top prospects in English football.
That's
and was tipped for Bayern Munich. So
Man United were also going for him as well.
Yeah. So he's got genuine quality. I think I'm really excited to see how their season goes, just because I'm so intrigued by the managerial route that they've gone down. So we'll see.
So someone to watch out for. We're going to jump into the next team, I think.
Fire away.
Can I go for my first one?
Oh, you know.
I'm going to go for Dundee first. I think they are a fascinating team as well. And when we kicked this off, we did say half the teams in the league at the moment, we could say, what's going to happen with the manager? That's the interesting thing. But I've gone for they need to stop leaking goals. Because they are conceding goals at an alarming rate. This is like the Titanic going down this thing here over at Dundee. 145 goals over the last 2 seasons. Mentioned that one to you guys before we recorded. Luke's still reacting like he's never heard it before. He's still shocked.
Was that 72 in each season, or was one season 100 and one was 40? Do you know roughly?
It was like 77 and 68 or something like that.
Regardless,
which is crazy. And
it's quite an astonishing stat.
Saw Tony Dock talking the other day. He was saying he was utterly shocked. Came out of nowhere that he lost his job, which I think he's gonna come out and say that, I guess. But if you're being a bit realistic, Dundee fans did seem a bit upset for a while, and then he's obviously gone, and the outside sort of has looked in and said it's a shame for him. He's been a bit of a downfall of his own success. But 145 goals isn't brilliant. They were dragged into the relegation trouble last season, and coming into this season, I think it's really important. We spoke about Stephen Presley last week, so I don't think we should need to do that too much. If you want to hear about Stephen Presley, check out last week's episode. I don't think it's as bad as people have made out to say it is. It's still a question mark. It could end up being terrible. It could end up being decent as well. We don't really know what's going to happen. But I do think whatever happens is, if they can make sure they are tighter at the back, they should have the goals up the other end, with probably Simon Murray alone to keep them up. I don't think that's an issue.
Well, that's the thing with Dundee. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed watching Dundee the last few seasons. They've been last season. You could argue they were the team to watch. They were going into games with HIBS, Celtic, whoever, and they were
high quality
goals,
matches.
but they were scoring goals.
Yeah.
But the issue with Dundee is now they've lost Josh Mulligan, they've lost Lyle Cameron, they've lost.
Lyle Cameron's a big miss, of course. So
obviously, Luke McCowan was away, so it's a difficult one. You can see they previously did have the quality that. Okay, if they're going to concede 2, they might score 3. Now, it's like if they concede 2 or 3, do they have the firepower that they had in previous seasons to sort of remain in the game? I'm not sure, but they're an exciting team, so
of course, they're a team that lost 6-0 at home to Hearts last season and stuff like that going on. As to repeat that, I think Tony Docherty did a good job, but if he couldn't see there was a chance he'd lose his job, with results like that last season, they had that in them at times, unfortunately. But
on the flip, though, they beat Rangers, I'm sure. They drew, certainly, with Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah.
So, yes.
They matched Old Firm.
I think he did. I do think he did a good job. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying that.
Was high, but
so there's all this flow in here, and I think they just need to, firstly, stop conceding goals, as I've said a couple of times there. That's the main thing. Teams don't usually get relegated if they've got a good defence. They've had the opposite the last couple of seasons, but been good enough going forward where it's not mattered too much. With Simon Murray in there, as I say, he is that game-changing quality they do have. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do play under Stephen Pressley, because there's a lot of question marks. They've obviously got a couple of boys in as well. I don't know if you've seen from Mexico on trial, and they've gone out looking a different direction.
A wee bit of samba.
I mean, they've had a few Mexicans recent years there, so see what happens with that kind of thing. I don't know if that's something you're going to hang a hat on, really, bringing in Mexican teenagers, but interesting to see what they do. And I do think Stephen Pressley, there was a bit of an overreaction at first, and we were talking about this before, Fraser. A lot of that sort of just came from the fact he's been honest in his answer. He could have turned up on all his interviews and given you every cliche under the sun that good managers do, Lots of good managers do that. Lots of good managers also are just honest, and when they're asked a question, they'll answer honestly. Stephen Pressley is getting on all the back pages because he said, you've not hired a manager that's going to win things. Well, if he turned out and said, oh, well, I have won things, he'd be lying, because he's not won anything. It's a fact at the end of the day. As there's loads of managers. John McGlynn went to FALKIRK, he hadn't won much, but, it doesn't matter.
They took a chance on him. And
it's not what matters at the end of the day. He's obviously had a good pedigree. He's been out of a job for 6 years. It's not like he's been twiddling his thumbs. He's been working in the highly thought of Brentford youth system as well. So,
and if you look at Brentford, for example, they've gone out and Keith Andrews hasn't won the FA Cup.
Exactly, and we'll see if that's successful first as well.
Yeah.
They were probably just devastated that the big man went up to Dundee. They were probably lining him up. So
second in line was Keith Andrews.
Yeah, so I think interesting. I think it was head of individual development at Brentford. I believe the official title was. So research. See if he can bring that.
Looked up his LinkedIn profile.
Luke, who's your first team going to be?
So my first team's going to be Hearts.
Oh, did you see that coming, Callum?
I did. I thought we'd like to speak about Hearts.
And I'm going to talk about kind of the absence of Shankland.
Do you want to give us your next team?
Can I go any team?
Any the teams you've got, yeah.
I'll go Hibs. Shall we go Hibs?
Oh, good place to go from Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. They,
just down the water.
A bit more of a positive sort of feel now to the podcast after doing the Hearts stuff,
Yes, exactly. We'll ramp it up to a team, in Europe
on the rise.
So
HIBS on a Thursday night.
Right.
Hearts at home
because they never qualified.
They didn't qualify.
So I think with Hibs, it's just we're going to focus on them just consolidating, coming third.
This
being the third biggest team.
My least favourite cliche that's used for every club every year.
Yeah.
But it is true because they said what they said about Hearts last year and Aberdeen the year before.
That really did. Hearts did well actually to sort of rescue the season in the end, but everyone was a bit shocked.
But it does show how quickly that can flip. I guess the one difference is like the other teams finished third. They're not guaranteed European group stage football, which has been a massive hindrance for some of them. Obviously, they'd love to do it if they can, but signings from Hibs as well been looking positive so far.
Yeah, looking good. Josh Mulligan looks like he's a proven Premiership player, and I think he's still young, so I think he can do well in that Hibs team.
It's good to see other Scottish clubs snapping up Scottish talent as well.
Definitely.
And also the good thing is he also goes in and he's not a guaranteed to start as well. I think it's a really good competition if he's going to be right wing back where he's played as well at Dundee. him and Chris Cadden, that's really good competition. He can step into midfield as well, and that's the area of the park where Hibs have plenty of talent as well. So
the best, I think you could possibly argue the best bit of business in Scottish football so far this season is setting Big Rocky on.
Yeah, big time.
Crazy how his season changed from the start of last season to the end of last season. And I think he was, there was sort of whisperings that he might go elsewhere. That
Standard Liège apparently was
that the...
Well, his brother's an agent, and he posted an Instagram story at Standard Liège, and all the Hibs fans were like, "Oh God, what's happening?" Obviously, thankfully for them,
he could have taken the step up to. I mean, maybe Standard Liège are not what they once were at this point in time.
He wouldn't have been short of offers, though. I'm sure.
I think there are certainly teams that across Europe that would have looked at him, but he's chosen Leith for a couple more seasons. And I like it as well, and he's a good player.
A wee 3-year deal.
Exactly. So
shows great loyalty. Like, I think he knows he could probably build something really memorable as a Hibs player.
Yeah,
so.
And it shows. I think it just shows if a player like that who's got probably options elsewhere as well as wanting to stay on. I think it shows what the players are sort of feeling at Easter Road at the moment. Their belief in David Gray. So I think they'll have a good season. But I did also think the Hearts would have that they would romp to third last season, and Stephen Naismith would go on to be a great success again. So yeah, we say that with a bit of caution, but I do think I really like the recruitment's been good, and if they can get Chiantis on board, for a big sum of money, which is being discussed, but if they can get him on board, then they're in a really good position. I think
he's just the type of signing they should. It's worth, I think, spending the money on. It'd be great to see him just put himself out there, show that ambition a little bit in a way. Yeah. But I mean, they bought 900k apparently for Dylan Vente anyway, so that wouldn't be a bad way to spend it, I think, on the chances they could get him. So yeah, I agree as well. I think a big season for them, and just pushing on to that third place, and probably might be a bit of time next year where there might be patience as well. You know, obviously the way when that undefeated run, what was it, 15, 16 games it got up to, I think it was for Hibs. 16 games. It's not always going to be like that. There's going to be tough patches. There's going to be difficult games. There'll be losses at Easter Road, I'm sure. And it's sticking with David Gray, as even if, I think I said to you before as well, especially that European hangover can be tough. If Hibs find themselves in the bottom half of the table at some point throughout the season, it's not worth panicking about. If that does happen, I'm not saying it will, but if it does, don't panic. Keep on building the way they're going long term.
I think he's earned now the respect from Hibs fans. That if
what more would he need to do if he's not got the respect of Hibs fans? David Gray.
Well, and again, if we look at Hearts as an example, like Stephen Naismith went in, the stock was higher than ever in the close season, and then obviously it turned sour quite quickly. So we can't say with any certainty that he won't. But I do think just the way that last season went, obviously his time as a player as well. I think David Gray, if they do have a little slip up at any point, I think he's got a bit of grace now, or he'll be showing a bit of grace from Hibs fans. Before anyone starts calling for his head. But I think they'll do well. They look like a really good outfit. They've got a new CEO in the door today as well. So off the pitch, on the pitch, they look like they're in a good place. Yeah,
I've actually been speaking to quite a few like Hibs fans that I know, and they've been talking about like there's quite a lot of excitement going into this season. So
you featured on the Hibs Ramble again. You've been on the Hibs Ramble podcast.
I haven't actually.
He's never off it, mate.
No, but.
Well, that's our Hibs chat. Should we move on to the next club?
Yes.
I've taken Motherwell.
Oh, she's not bad. Thanks for asking, right?
Very good. Quick off the mark today. You usually take a bit longer to get that one out. I respect that.
I'm usually after that. It's usually after I finish like a 5:30 shift in the morning, so I'm a wee bit slower. I'm on it.
You're on it today. He's had a Red Bull. He's like Jamie Vardy. He's buzzing.
Having a party.
Take your snooze out, mate. Take your snooze out. Come on, we're live.
Do you know the rest of the Jamie Vardy song? I hope that doesn't apply.
No.
Oh, right.
No.
Like, it's like, isn't it like bring vodka and some Charlie or something like that?
Yes. But I'm not bringing the rest to the party, don't worry.
Okay, he's had his vodka, he's had his Charlie, he's buzzing to go.
I've not had any of the Charlie, no.
Just the vodka.
Rebecca Vardy fan? Or Colleen?
No, because that was that documentary, wasn't it?
But it wasn't just a documentary, it was based on a real event.
Yeah, of course.
This man lives his life through Netflix.
Yeah. Have you heard of that O.J. Simpson murder trial, the TV show? It's great.
My word.
Who would you pick? Rebecca Vardy or Colleen Mooney.
Anyone that's taken Team Rebecca needs to take a look at themselves in the mirror.
But look.
I thought I should really know like what happened in the
Oh
whole.
my god! It is Colleen. No, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Callum's right.
Yeah.
Colleen.
I don't know how anyone would come out of that and be like, I'm Team Rebecca Vardy.
Yeah.
So.
Was she a bit of a scumbag?
Whoa.
The minty words that
Don't
she was a
call
bit.
any woman a scumbag in this podcast.
But she was a bit, yeah.
She didn't behave well, though. Put it that way.
Oh.
But yeah, good bit of drama. Anyway, back to the football.
Back to the soccer.
Back to Motherwell.
Back to Motherwell. Yes.
Yes, right, you've got your joke in there. I've put my line down because, again, they fit into a very similar thing. I've said, well, because he's not been sold yet. I'm just going to say what's going to happen with Lennon Miller. What do you guys think is going to happen with Lennon Miller?
I didn't see him going, but I think I'm trying to see it like a wee bit later on in the transfer window.
Okay.
Well, that's a hot take. So
That's
if
a
the
hot
transfer window's open, he's not gone,
Yeah.
and everyone expects him to go.
So where do you think he's going? Celtic, Rangers,
Sorry, yeah.
Southampton.
I think abroad still. but-
Udinese.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
It's funny seeing him back for Motherwell pre-season training though, and their videos and all that, and he's back. It kind of felt like he was gone, and he had his goodbye to the fans.
Yeah.
They probably need to sell him. Don't, if you're a Motherwell and you can make 5 to 10 million on him, and he chance he could leave on a free next summer. What's the point?
Transfermarkt have just updated their transfer values. I think he's.
How often are you refreshing Transfermarkt transfer value?
Biggest fan right here.
Every day.
I am Transfermarkt.
Big time. Big time on us now.
I think he's now top 10. Let me just check. Sorry, carry on.
Top 10 what?
Talk it in Scotland value.
Oh, right, okay. That
and
would
I think
make
he's up
sense.
at like 7 million or something. So
Well, I did obviously think doing the Motherwell chat we could do the manager talk again. Jens Barthel Askew coming in. Danish football. Did a bit of research on him as well. An interesting name. Not one you know too much. 8 million on Transfermarkt, Lennon Miller. But Big Jens has came in. If you don't know too much about him, he was the assistant Copenhagen and Sparta Prague before that. So he's worked with big clubs.
It's quite high pedigree.
As an assistant, yeah. And before that, he was working in Denmark, where he was relatively successful. I believe he was the Hammarby manager as well, if my pronunciation is correct. Our Scandinavian expert.
yeah, beautifully done. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Was the club he managed Randers FC, I believe it might have been in Denmark?
Oh, yeah.
I'll double check that.
Actually, I have heard of them.
You said. Yeah, no, they're.
Oh, it was Horsens. Sorry.
Okay. I've not heard of
But he'd managed in Faroe Islands, Denmark, then Sweden, and he's been an assistant manager at bigger clubs now as well. So a bit of experience of both. Probably suits him that he, maybe arguably, that he was managing smaller clubs. He's been promoted as well before. Apparently plays quite an entertaining brand of football, but he's working with clubs ultimately at the end of the day that have a smaller budget and they're going to be trying to punch over the weight a little bit. So maybe suits Motherwell. We'll see what happens. But the Lennon Miller thing is the kind of the glaring thing where Motherwell are looking at this right now. Lennon Miller's the kind of player that I don't know. Obviously, he's absolutely brilliant, and I love watching that Lennon Miller play. He's brilliant. He's a standout in the Motherwell team. Maybe not someone that individually will win them games all the time with goals, for example, like you can see with someone as a talisman in their team. So if they do lose him, obviously a massive loss, and they'll feel that effect massively. But points on their season, I don't know how huge an impact it will have if they spend that money correctly on getting some players in, and obviously they'll need to invest that money into the club as well. But it will be a big loss if they do lose him.
See, that's where this is a different debate. But when you say like points in a season, okay, he's not going to bang them in and directly win you 6-7 points, but a player like him, he facilitates the players that bang
Definitely,
them in.
yeah.
So without him, I think it's not so tangible where you can say, okay, he's contributed or he's lost this many points for the team. I think with Lennon Miller, he would cost his absence will cost Motherwell 10 points.
And you have seen that when he was like injured a wee bit. Like,
yeah, there's
last
no
season.
a player like that who's offensively and defensively as good as he is, and he can assist, he can score. His leadership qualities, okay, it's not as obvious statistically, but he costs. I think he goes. Who do they can't replace him?
No, they're not going to replace him.
In the words of Pep.
Said that.
It might be-
We cannot replace him. We cannot replace
It
him.
might be the kind of thing where it's filling the squad up with a few more numbers of quality players,
Exactly,
4 or 5
yeah.
players coming in. If they do want to spend a bit of that money, so curious to see what they do. It's interesting to see where Lennon Miller goes, but that's not a Motherwell chat at the end of the day. That's Lennon Miller chat. So I think he will be a huge loss. I'm not saying that at all, and obviously he will. They will struggle without him as well, but if they can replace him correctly, I think Motherwell's the kind of club as well where it's brilliant that money can be reinvested into the club because we've seen so many really good, talented players come through them in recent years. Yeah. Obviously, Landon Miller himself, Bailey Rice, Ewan Wilson making an impact, David Turnbull, Alan Campbell. There's loads of players you can look at that have made an impact. So money into the club just to keep all that flowing around effectively. But they will need to make sure they focus on their team because Landon Miller's going to be a loss and they don't want to get sucked into relegation trouble. And who really knows what's going to happen with a managerial appointment? It's a bit of a Pandora's box. Pandora's box.
I like that actually. That's better.
Or a bit of a sticky situation.
Yeah.
Pandora's box. Right. Next team.
I'm going to make the trip to Paisley. I'm going with St Mirren.
Oh, I'd hope so. I hope you are going to. I mean, you could also be making the trip to Paisley and doing Celtic, of course. A club shop.
Oh, yeah.
Close proximity.
Nice.
St Mirren, what do they need to focus on this season, Luke?
I think it's just continuing that stability of pushing for kind of just maintain. I'm trying to actually do my words out.
Maintaining,
yeah. Kind of just keeping that consistency. They've managed back-to-back top 6 finishes, so I think just keeping that consistency of pushing that far up the table. But I feel like it's going to be a lot harder this season after losing kind of 3 of their players that were core of that back-to-back push. So they've lost Zach Heyman and they've lost Richard Taylor, and they did lose Olasanya towards the end of the season, but I'm trying to focus on Richard Taylor and Zach Heyman because speaking to St Mirren fans, they are two probably players that they're going to miss quite a lot.
Well, I think you mentioned consistency, and I think that's key because I don't think there's many clubs in the Premiership that have had consistent development like St Mirren have. Year on year, they've just got a bit better and a bit better and a bit better. So I think that's something you look at and say, that's the Stephen Robinson effect, really. He's good at getting a lot out of a squad. I think he's probably the best manager in the league, pound for pound, certainly, for getting a lot out of players that some people might look at and say, they're good players, but I don't know how much you're going to kick on how Mikel Mandron's became an important player, And, all over the squad, there's qualities. You say they've lost a few key players as well, but they've got lots about them as well. Marcus Fraser at the back as well was huge.
Nice and solid.
I think you've not mentioned Boyd Muntz. He's going to be a big loss as well.
I went to Peterborough.
Peterborough?
It was. Yeah, it was Peterborough.
I thought it was Wickham.
No, sorry, Wickham. Sorry, yeah, it was Wickham. Sorry, just him and Dan Casey went to Wickham. Sorry, yep.
Good thing he's later.
That's it.
Right, there's all these English clubs, but obviously not really having a goalkeeper as well is a bit of a concern. Zach Henning kind of came in, and I don't know if they, thought he'd be quite as good as he was, but he did kick on the odd mistake in there, I think, but. A good goal.
And then they brought in Ryan Mullen just as of the weekend past there from Morton, which
can't see him being number 1.
No.
So yeah, still a bit of work to do for that squad. See what happens to finish it off. But I did say Callum Phillips as well. I think he's one of the players to watch out for this season. Just broke into the Ireland squad, centre mid, full of energy but quality as well. Certainly in his game. You're not.
Yeah. Not a fan.
I don't know why. I mean, I'm pretty sure he won every single award there was to win at St Mirren last season, Player of the Year and all that. But you're not convinced.
Not the Luke Award of the year though.
No. So his teammates and all the fans thought he was the best player. Luke doesn't. But
that's all that matters, though, isn't it?
He's I think he's only 22, 23. I think he's 23. He was at Crystal Palace. They got him on loan. Did brilliantly to get him on a permanent deal as well. I think he's in the division. I think he's one of the standout midfielders, the kind of player that I think, no disrespect to St Mirren here at all, like HIBS and Aberdeen, Hearts would kill to have in their midfield because he's genuinely that good. I think he's, maybe if you look at someone in midfield for Hearts, even like a Cammy Devlin, I think he's better than Cammy Devlin as well, and he'll break into the.
Interesting.
He's broke into the Ireland team and he'll keep making himself a more consistent player in the midfield for them, and I think he's a superb player. So. They've got quality like that, and full credit as well, Stephen Robinson. I think Aberdeen fans weren't too convinced by him in a short loan spell there, and he gets these players in and he gets them playing. So
some good youth players as well. You might see breaking into the team a bit more as well.
Fraser Taylor.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah, Fraser
I
Taylor.
spoke about him.
Getting more minutes.
Yeah. So
I think it's exciting times.
I think it's just worth. I think it's just worth sticking with what they're doing, even if they weren't finishing the top 6 this season. If performances are still consistent and strong, because even last season, which everyone looks at a brilliant season for St Mirren, 1 or 2 results differently, they wouldn't have been top 6 as well. So it's just building on performances and kicking on the right direction. A cup run, everyone would love, of course. So right, move on to our next team.
Now shall we?
Yeah.
I'll take it away.
Take it away.
We're going to go with Kilmarnock, shall we?
Another one of your favourite teams.
I know.
Kilmarnock, Scotland.
The Air fan and
yeah, I'm going to be
secret Celtic fan.
I'm going to be incredibly objective here.
He's not a secret Celtic fan, are you?
No, absolutely not. I've been to Parkhead a few times though. It's a good stadium.
Whoa. Home or away end?
Ayr haven't played Celtic in my lifetime.
Really?
Not
you sure?
Genuinely, well, in my lifetime, yeah, but it was like 2002 or something.
Oh,
I feel like my adult lifetime, definitely.
That's what you get when you get knocked out of the cup in the first round every year. I feel like the Rovers win never away from Celtic away. Unfortunately,
honestly,
we get pumped every time.
I think we played them pre-season friendly at Somerset last year. But yeah, apart from that, I think it was 2002 semi-final of the Scottish Cup.
Yep.
Got pumped. Anyway,
on that note,
Ayr got pumped.
Kilmarnock FC. So
Kilmarnock FC, yes.
So focus on building a statue for Big George, new centre back.
Well, yes, actually, yeah. Greatest youth prospect in Scottish football, I think, personally, having watched them all last season. But no, we're going to focus on
like 24, isn't
Kelly. Yeah. Kelly fans need to get behind their manager.
Yes, I think we've touched on a lot of teams having question marks over the manager, but none more so than Kilmarnock, probably.
Yeah,
reaction's not been great.
No, and doing with my due diligence, I'll give a shout out to my cousin. I sent him a little message, Benji, because I wanted, I might be slightly more biased against.
I hope you understand. Kelly needs to be focused on not being shite. Terrible.
I thought about opening with that line, but I thought no, I've got to be professional. But he gave a big breakdown on their squad, and interesting that he said that this is not an official stat, of course, but he said that 90% of the Kelly fans were not happy with the appointment. So I think ultimately it's just and Stuart, it's maybe a little unfair on him because Stuart Kettlewell's actually got a decent CV. Like he's tactically aware, quite astute, plays decent football. I think he had he had a difficult time at Motherwell, but it was by no means like a car crash. It just sort of unravelled a little bit towards the end, more with things off the pitch than actually on the pitch,
which probably blew it up a bit more than it needed to be.
Yeah, blew it out of proportion. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't think it's listen, if I was a Kilmarnock fan and I opened up my Twitter page to see that Stuart Kettlewell was holding the Kelly scarf above his head, I wouldn't have been buzzing about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be buzzing about it, definitely not. But
I'm not going to be. Also, it's not a catastrophe, and I think he will do well actually. And they're showing signs of. It's a difficult. I think Kilmarnock might struggle personally, purely based on the fact that they've lost a lot of good players.
Yeah,
but they are recruiting smartly.
I like some of the signings they've made.
George Stranger, for example, joking aside, I think he's a phenomenal centre back. He did very well for United last season. Maybe he was sort of starting in a back five at times or four alongside bigger names, maybe more glamorous names, and Mikey Devlin or Lenny Agbear even plays under 21 football for Scotland and Celtic.
I don't mind him as a replacement for like a Stuart Finlay though.
Not at all. I think it's sensible from a United fan point of view. It's
quite similar players as well. I think like the two of them, similar play styles.
But George Stranger, a very good ball playing centre half, but physical as well. He'll impose himself. I think he'll do well in the Premiership. And the problem is though, Kilmarnock have lost. They've lost Joe Wright. They've lost Stuart Finlay. That's two senior figures.
Danny Armstrong, Carvasell.
Yeah, so leadership wise,
Carvasell,
I think
Carvasell's away. They've lost Fraser Murray. Bobby Wales has gone. Less effect on leadership, obviously, but they've lost a core, like a
strong team,
and Derek McInnes as well. So it is a little bit of a sort of root and branch restart for Kilmarnock this season. They've made astute signings. I'm really interested to see Marcus Dacker. You aware of?
I'm not. You will have to fill me in on this one.
He is a 6'7".
Yes, I did hear about this. Sorry, the name didn't ring a bell. That would be interesting.
A goal ratio similar to Kasper Schmeichel's. Not brilliant. He's not scored many goals, but I was reading there was a Salford. He's played for Salford City. He was most recently on loan at Morecambe. I think he scored 1 goal for Morecambe last season. Not brilliant, but there was a Salford City account on Twitter that was sort of profiling him, and apparently he's got a good touch. He's likened him. He said it was a lazy comparison, but to Peter Crouch.
Now I'll tell you who you're describing to me right now. If you want a story and a bit of flashback and pain to me right now. Do you remember the helicopter, as he called himself? John Fredrickson at Raith Rovers?
No.
Oh, 6'8". Look him up if you're on your computer looking people up. Look up John Fredrickson, who was Raith Rovers mid-season signing under Ian Murray in his first season. So not actually that too long ago. 1 cap, he came in.
How do you spell Fredrickson?
Like Fred and Ericsson. 6'8" striker. Oh. Look at that, we pictured him and Nathan Connolly there.
Viking.
I'll edit that into the So he comes in, a big Viking signing, does an interview, says,
what's that all about?
He calls himself the helicopter when he scores, that's his goal celebration and all that.
Nice, yeah,
comes on, right, we got the 6'8" striker, capped by the Faroe Islands and everything. How exciting is this? Comes on, first touch of the game. Like, I've never heard Starts Park. I'm sat right at the back. The crowd's like, wow, look at him. Look at the size of him. 6'8". What a beast he's going to be. Comes on to defend a set piece. So straight into the box. He was a bag of energy as well. He seemed like, I don't know, nervous energy, but like he was a really confident talker as well. Apparently quite a lazy trainer. That's why he didn't get played much. But he came on to defend the corners. Free kick, first touch, bounces off his head, just ricochets off and is that close to being an own goal. I think Jamie McDonald's reaching back, not getting to it, just skims the bar and goes off. Ended up playing about 12 games, scored 1 notable goal for us in the League Cup away to Queen's Park, but he was a big man, 6'8".
He looks like a WWE wrestler.
He was a big man, 6'8", that more so preferred to get the ball at his feet rather than use his power and his size.
Well, that
sounds a bit like.
I started off with you.
So and it was what a day that was. Queen's Park away, 1-0. We won that game. He scored the winner. He was getting the fans singing his name because he was a bit of a cult hero at the same time. But he's also probably one of the worst players I've seen in a Raith shirt. Wow, John Fredrickson, if you're listening, I do apologise. But Ian Murray really didn't seem to fancy him too much because he seemed to be a bit of an ego and a bit lazy. But so if he's anything like John Fredrickson, I would cause for concern.
It's funny you say that because also in that thread from the Salford City account was that Marcus Dacker's not particularly dominant in the air, which I don't know how you can't be at 6'7". Like surely just standing still.
It's just the aggression.
Shouldn't be beaten.
I saw John Fredrickson getting bullied about by not even bullied. That's not fair, but he wasn't competing too well with normal Jack Baird for example would have had him locked up. So.
But listen, Marcus Dackers might go on.
If you were going to say exciting Killie signing, sorry to cut you off there, I was hoping you were going to say Scott Tiffany or Greg Kilty or something like that because they have added well. I like some signing. Jack Thompson he's an interesting one for Queen's Park. I didn't look at him and be like, he's completely written as a Premiership.
Yeah. Jamie Brandon as well from Livy.
He was phenomenal last season, so I think he's possibly the best signing. So I do agree though I like the way you said that right at the start. If I can remember what you said, I think you said something like getting behind the manager or supporting him from the start because I think if they have a bit of a rough start in the League Cup group stage, for example, you can see the Boo Boys coming out really early on, and it's a terrible way to start a season. A bit like watching Hamilton play last season, and every time something bad happened, it was always John Rankin get to fuck and all that from the first minute of the game. Well, that's what they were saying, Luke. I'm just quoting, all right? It was all that, and it was quite insipid from the start of games, that kind of thing. That was how it was at Hamilton last year at times, and obviously ended up getting relegated, I guess, maybe unfairly. But that's what my take on that as well. So should we move on to the next team? Yeah,
just before we do, just need to make sure it looks all right. Are you okay? Did you pull off in a
to catch
with that F-bomb?
Yeah, I know. Caught me off guard.
Yeah, so fire away.
I've got 2 more teams I'm going to go for here. So which one do I go for first? I'm going to go for one I've probably got a bit less to say about. I think it'll be a bit of a quicker chat. It's going to be Dundee United. Because Dundee United's squad is almost non-existent at this moment in time.
Very thin.
Very thin indeed. No one seems to know what's going to be going on there. So I've not got too much to say about Dundee United. I think the focus for them is, firstly, it's building a squad, but maybe I think the focus is not overreacting to what was a really good season that maybe came at a bit of an unexpected time slightly. And obviously, they've lost quality they had last season. Sam Dalby up front's going to be a miss. Glenn Middleton's going to be a miss. even someone like that Gallagher, I was slightly surprised they let go because they've got good young talent. I believe it's Sam Cleal-Harden as well was really impressive at times if you saw him. Ross Graham's ended up being possibly the most influential defender players that came through the youth system there. Then you've got other names in there. We saw Miller Thompson a bit at FALKIRK, showed a couple flashes, maybe not quite there yet, might need another loan spell, but on periphery, Owen Sturton, someone as well, really caught the eye at Montrose last season. So I'm saying the focus is not overreacting first and foremost because it might be a bit of a down season last year. Obviously, they'd love to finish top 6 again. I think they've probably got enough that they won't get sucked into the relegation battle. Jim Goodwin's proven he can do it. He built a squad to win promotion. Check that box off. He's gone up again and built a team to compete in the Scottish Premiership, and he ticked that box off. Both times he's built the squad. So I think you trust him, give him another shot to really sort of try and bed them as a top 6 team or competing in and around the top 6, and I think they'll be okay. And as I say, I'd like to see some of those younger players get that opportunity to keep kicking on because they've really impressed me, a lot of the players they do have there. So
Owen Sturton next season, like to...
I'd like to see him about that because he seemed to hit the ground running, scored for the first team already, then went off for a loan spell just to play a bit more and couldn't stop scoring at Montrose as well. So I think he's one to watch out for. And I think young strikers kind of always easier to chuck in there. Still got Rory McLeod on the books as well. Players like that. Kai Fotheringham has had moments too. So, or Van der Sande, their big main man up front. You know, you've seen him.
Actually, I've seen him in
what's his national team he plays for? I can't remember. I'm going to check that because it's
like the Netherlands.
I think he is Dutch, but are you not familiar with Van der Sande?
I have heard of this boy and I've seen him.
You're missing out.
There we go,
Jort Van der Sande, that's his name. Who does he play for again? It's a crazy national.
He is Dutch.
Yeah, he's Dutch, yeah.
No, he's not.
But he represents Bonita.
Yeah, and we go back to his page there for his stats from last season. He's a striker, 32 games, no goals.
Can you go down to his national team? Man, he is the most Scottish looking dude I've ever seen.
I believe it's a Dutch territory. Which I might be wrong.
Living on the Caribbean island for 5 years.
Pretty cool. So he scored 1 goal for them?
He must have gone through a lot of sun cream.
Yes, he must do. So he scored 1 goal for his national team in 5 games, which is more than he scored for Dundee United as a striker last season. I don't think he likes to shoot too much, but you never know. This is what I'm saying. Imagine if he broke out 15, 20 goals next season. I'm buying into it. All right, he's gonna replace Sam Dalby.
Just checking there. It said he played for Eindhoven. I thought surely not. But that's a different.
Anyway, big things coming from Jort next season, I reckon.
Yeah.
Nice.
Probably not, by the way. Just for the record.
Just a disclaimer.
Yes, but I mean they've still got some quality around, but they just need to. It's kind of impossible to talk about them when you don't know what the squad's going to look like. But a lot of good young players that I think they can keep bedding in and just add that quality around them. Luke, your next team.
So I'm ready with Jeremy make the trip to FK. And we're returning to FALKIRK Stadium.
A short trip, as we are sitting in FK right now.
Yeah, we are. So we're going to make the trip down the road, as I say.
To the Stadia?
Stadia.
So what's the focus?
It's to do with John McGlynn and his loyalty to players.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
To start off with.
But it is a good thing. But it's just, they've kind of had the same squad from League One all the way to the Premiership. And it's just, can they maintain the same standard that they were competing in from League One all the way up to the highest level of Scottish football?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Because, I mean they were far too good for League One when they played in it, clearly. Yeah. But there's a lot of loyalty to players in there, like even the ones that they've kept on you maybe didn't expect to see in the Premiership. Gary Oliver's, Alfie Hagemans, but also players that kicked on really well. Brad Spencer, Dylan Tate, Tom Lang, Cole Donson. Pretty much the whole team. I could just sit here and
like they've all
was there from
they've all came on leaps and bounds, I think. But it's just interesting to see how they will.
Because I'd say it's good to keep a core together, isn't it? And there's obviously something money can't buy is familiarity with a team as well. And FALKIRK got that in bags, but I like the additions. Brian Graham, Scott Bain, a bit of quality added on top to what is a settled squad, but they probably maybe just need a few more of those players to bed in. A
few more experienced heads, yeah, definitely. I think the thing about John McGlynn is he always brings in players that he's worked with before. He
has done that,
and he has that familiarity with. I was trying to think where the link was with Scott Bain, but obviously he did work with Brendan Rodgers with a wee bit.
I suppose, I was going to say he doesn't have to sign players he's worked.
No, but
you are right. Yeah,
but most of the players that he has signed.
So if Craig Gordon didn't get another contract, John would.
John would have been on the door.
Where's Rudy Skushel when you need him? Sorry, never living that one down.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and I would like to see a few more bodies.
I think a lot of people are tipping FALKIRK for a good season.
Yeah,
So,
which is a lot of pressure, I think, to have, but I think they just need that extra few experienced Premiership heads that can just kind of get them over that line, because I've seen a lot of people tipping them for a top 6 finish, and I'm a bit...
Yeah, I think there's a point where there's really good players that have done great stuff, but we've not seen Gary Oliver, Alfie Aggerman, Finn Yeats be chucked into a Premiership game before, and I do like them, good players, Barney Stewart as well, maybe do the loan spell, so he's playing every week, but when you are talking Premiership, it is a big step up. People don't realise that. The players are bigger, they're stronger, they're more physical. I noticed that, Rafe playing in the playoffs against Ross County was one of the biggest wake-up calls I've had, where wow, that is the difference, when they beat us a couple of seasons ago. So, one to look out for. Fraser, do you want to give us your final team?
Yes, so my final team is Livingston. So, my sort of the focus for Livingston, I think, is just consistency, and can they be more consistent than the teams around them? We actually had a very intense debate that we should have had a camera on before we started today, but I'm very much in the camp that I think Livingston will be fine. I think they've got a great...
I wasn't saying they wouldn't be fine in this debate.
Of course.
You're making it sound like they might be.
No, I never said it was you I was debating it with. But it was me and Callum in particular. No, I know that's... But I think I was a lot more positive about their signings. I think Livingston have recruited very well, and we debated whether or not you think it's enough for the Premiership. I do. I think they've recruited maybe 5 or 6 players. They've signed on players from last season that were crucial to their success. Mm-hmm. I think Livingston, and this is maybe actually going to sound a bit crazy considering they turned Ayr United over 5-0, but Livingston probably went through the season not really, at no point I think did anyone think Livingston were going to win the league. Mm-hmm. I think it was probably between Falkirk and Ayr where people were saying, people thought Falkirk were going to run away with the league. At the start of the season they thought Ayr looked special and then Ayr were going to go and Livingston were just always there, and they quietly
they were always there amongst it.
Yeah, and
chipped away at it, didn't they? Yeah.
They had a good record against Falkirk, they had a good record against Ayr.
Yep.
They just were a very good solid team, and I think they did what they had to do at that level. Yep. I think they'll do the same in the Premiership. With Danny Wilson, Ryan McGowan at the back, they've got experienced head who like to, chip in with goals. The other thing we were discussing, Callum, was you think, and it's a good point, where are the goals going to come? There's no focal point, as in focal point's not the right word, but there's no number 9 that's going to go in.
It was not even number 9. It was more game changers, game winners, where I kind of said to you, I think they've signed, for a Premiership standard, a bunch of kind of bang average players. If I'm honest, for a Premiership standard, if I'm being maybe a bit harsh there, I think if they were building a Championship squad, if St Johnstone signed these players, or even Ross County, I suppose, I'd be like, that's a good club to get them back out of the Championship. They signed some of these players last season, Zach Rodden, Kamika, players like that. Conor McLennan was one that, I'm going to ruffle your feathers by saying that, is someone that
ruffles my feathers, let me tell you.
I'll tell you what, a lot of these players, or all of these players actually that they've signed, you can chuck Stevie May in there, have been players. This was my point, sort of on the adverse, where they're players that have been, unfortunately, rejects effectively from St Johnstone and Dundee, who are teams that didn't think they were good enough to help them stay up, and St Johnstone got relegated. Graham Carey's added in as well, not terrible player, of course. I'm not saying any of them are bad players, but I don't look at any of them and say that's the spark to win you a game in the Premiership. I could see Zach Rudden being loaned out in January, that kind of thing. So,
but that's where Zach Rudden, he's not going to start. So, but I can see he has, he's got Premiership experience. He does have quality. Okay, he's kind of gone off the boil. But if him coming on for Robbie Muirhead, Stevie May, I don't think's terrible.
No.
A player like Conor McLennan, I think he's, and I said it at the end of the season, he was the number 1 player I wanted Ayr United to sign on. Yeah. He didn't. But what I did say was, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he could play for any team in Scotland, bar Celtic and Rangers. He's gone to Livingston. I think it's still a good move. I think he wasn't utilised perfectly by Scott Brown. I think he had a couple of years, he had to sort of restart his career, go back to Ayr United, but he played I think he's got his career back on track, and I think he's more than cut out for the Premiership.
Yeah.
I think just across their squad with Andrew Shinnie, Stephen Kelly, Stevie May, Robbie Muirhead, Conor McLennan, all of those. We'll throw Zach Rudden in to the mix.
Sure, if you're doing your mid list right now, you're doing a good job. Yeah.
But like, and I take your point. No, none of them are going to grab 10 plus goals in a season. Robbie Muirhead might, but they, as a collective, as a squad, they're all. Each and every one of those players that I've just mentioned will get you goals and assists, and they'll do it at crucial times. And I think with that and with their solid defence and Davy Martindale's experience, I think they'll have a fine season. I think they'll be okay.
For me, there's a lot of pressure there. Just to finish off on the Livingston chat before we move on. There's a lot of pressure putting on Robin Muirhead and probably Stephen Kelly as well to be the two guys that can make something happen, have a bit of a spark. So Conor McLennan, I'm not saying Conor McLennan is not capable at all. I think he's a good player as well. But as I've said before, if you've got your players that are capable, top end of the Championship of getting 15 goals, whatever, I've not seen that from him yet. He wasn't setting the heather alight at St Johnstone. I'm not saying there's not a good player there. There's a brilliant player in there. But I think in terms of actual making an impact, and look, he's got every chance he could do it, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if he did. But there's a lot of pressure right now for Premiership quality. I think Robin Muirhead's proven he is ready to make that step up. Stephen Kelly's done it before as well, so I think the two of them. But it's a good squad. It is a good squad, and the squad's possibly going to define it, and they might have a couple more players to add into that mix as well, so it's difficult to really know completely.
That's my point. I think with their sign, with some clubs you're looking for the spark, and I think for a team that's wanting to compete top end of the table, top six, maybe trying to get into Europe, they need a player like Hibs need a Martin Boyle. Hearts need Lawrence Shankland. Livingston, obviously, if they can have Dundee, you've got Simon Murray. I don't think it's as crucial for Livingston with the way that their squad is built for them to have that kind of player. I think they just need someone that's going to come in and complement the squad that they've already got.
And Martindale gets a lot out of them. He's known for that.
So we'll see. But I think Conor McLennan, I think he'll do good things.
Conor McLennan chat. Let's move on to Aberdeen. That's my final team. Aberdeen's one is quite simple, a bit of a cliche as well that's been used in recent years, but it's a cliche because it's been unbelievably true. It's managing guaranteed group stage football in Europe as well, so if they're going to be there. So obviously we've seen the impact that's had on teams in recent years. Hearts last year, Aberdeen the year before. It's a lot to manage. You need a big squad. And we saw Aberdeen have a really high highs last season and really low lows last season. So it's going to be a lot to balance. I think they've got the manager, Jimmy Tillene. I think he's proven, with that cup win especially. It's funny how a penalty shootout can almost be the deciding factor between, he's a hero, or it's been a bit of a mixed season. But end of the day, they won it. So that's what matters. And I think he's proved that he can have a good environment in the changing room, of course, and a winning mentality at times as well. And they're not there to just, bend over effectively to Rangers and Celtic at times when they've played them. They've not done that, Think about some of their results. They've been on the receiving ends of a couple of pump-ins as well from them, but that's what happens.
Technical term.
I get that's what happens, if you do. So
you bend over.
Effectively, it's an occupational hazard of bending over. But obviously we've seen them get some good results, and European group stage football is going to be difficult, and there's going to be times of the season where I think Aberdeen fans will need to be patient. But I think in the bigger picture, they've got the right manager. There's not really a question about that for me.
Absolutely not,
Even if they are in some of the early stages of the seasons, Aberdeen fans might look at the table and say, why are we in 10th? Why are we 9th? Whatever it might be. It might not be. They might be right up the table, but it's such a heavy workload for them. It's such a tough load. And obviously they've lost a few players as well, like Kevin Nisbet. It's going to be difficult to replace. But overall, I think on a good standing, having that European football, and it's a big focus. It's a big money maker as well, so if they can get a few results in that. We spoke about it briefly before. I think they've got a good chance of getting out of their group stage as well. I think a Scottish team's more than capable of doing it. So just mostly managing that, and again, like with a lot of these clubs, just a bit of patience, please.
Yeah. I think, just to add, with Aberdeen, if I was an Aberdeen fan, I would be excited about Europe. I would be just looking for a little bit of a change in their kind of approach to games. I think they did well in it, and Tillene had to do it, and it paid dividends when they won the Scottish Cup. But just watching a few games last season with Aberdeen, they've got the quality throughout their squad. They don't play like it at times, and whilst it was smart, and it has to be done, they adapted their style to beating Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. but I think they've got the quality. They've got Leighton Clarkson. They've got players that can really take a game to other teams. They've got, they've got the quality of a top 4 team in Scotland. So I would just, whilst it's important that they manage both all the cup competitions and the league, I would just be hoping as an Aberdeen fan, and as a neutral actually, I want to see an Aberdeen that kind of plays on the front foot a little bit more and just plays a little bit more.
I mean, they are capable of that just consistently. To use a word from like Nat 5 English for you here, I think like Shane Morris, he's almost like the personification of that though. You remember that one, guys? You remember that one? Yeah, I got to see in Nat 5 English, yeah. So no, but Shane Morris was arguably their player of the year. Some people might say, but didn't
played about 10
but
minutes
barely started a game.
Yeah.
And he come on and do something every game. Yeah. Why is he not starting and doing it?
Like that Scottish Cup final.
I mean, it worked a treat in the Scottish Cup final, but you're right.
But I've seen people say he was their player of the year.
Yeah.
And he hardly started a game. Yeah. Which is just funny.
Wow.
So it kind of sums up. Look, let's round things off. There's one more team. I don't even remember who the final team is.
We've covered
is that all of them?
Yeah,
Have you done all 4 of yours?
All 4 of mine, yeah.
Oh, I feel really bad if I've forgotten anyone.
No.
We've done. Is that the final one?
We could add in the 13th team that definitely should be in the Premiership.
No, I'll pass.
Who you
do United, but
yeah, move on, please.
Okay, well, I mean that rounds that out nicely. Actually,
it does, yeah.
I don't know why I thought you had one more to go there.
Hold on.
He's covered it. Celtic, Falkirk, Hearts, St Mirren, his 4 favourite teams in the country.
That's pretty
Have we not covered Celtic?
Yeah. No, we haven't.
Look at
I thought you had.
Always forgetting Celtic. Okay.
What's actually just I've now actually remembered.
They've talked about it enough.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Right, we'll do Celtic.
Oh, you're right.
Then.
Sorry, Callum. I thought you had.
That sounds about right. For
yeah, we'll quickly touch on Celtic. My point about Celtic is
perfect, and that rounds off.
You've had it all.
There we go.
Sorry, carry on.
That's right. I feel like the age of Celtic squad is kind of like not going down. Like all the.
I'd be surprised if it was. The guys were getting younger. Yeah.
No, but like I just feel like
Benjamin Button.
their players like that they've got like are like full on aging, and like they need to look at bringing in youth. I think like that's kind of bringing in like younger players to like replace the aging players, if that makes sense. So like,
okay, so who are you kicking out? Callum McGregor out for?
Nah, I'd say I'm trying to look at, I'm trying to really like my eyes are on Kasper Schmeichel here.
Maida. Do you know how old Maida is?
No, I don't actually.
Do you?
Yeah, 27.
No.
He's looked that before the podcast.
Yeah,
no, he's 27 or 28. He's young though. He's younger. Just because his hair is white doesn't.
I think there's certainly that profile where you're looking. The goalkeeper thing's been a bit of an issue for a while. They've got Sinisala, want him to be the number 1.
27 years old. You're calling an end to his career.
Let's go on to Sinisala.
But betting players in like Sinisala takes a bit of time. But we've kind of touched on it before. Celtic have a lot of really good youth players. The B team is there. It's a big gap, but if they're looking for a backup left back, they've got someone like Mitchell Frame, for example, that's really talented, but he's not going to be. I wouldn't trust him in the game right now because he's not had opportunity to show what he can do. Daniel Cummings has decided to move on elsewhere, and they're bringing in other young players in this week from Fulham, I believe. Why is it not Daniel Cummings getting that chance to be the backup striker? Because it doesn't just happen overnight. They need to be bedded in. And Celtic have more than enough games where they win comfortably. They have more than enough cup ties against lower league clubs where they can get a bit of game time. So that's probably been a bit of an issue. Obviously, Greg Taylor leaving, they're probably going to have to spend money on another left back now. Schlupp obviously not coming back too.
Do you know what the weird thing about Celtic is, and Brendan Rodgers maybe more, is that the games in which their youth players get minutes is in the Champions League.
Old Firms.
10 minutes against Feyenoord.
They come on like I think it was
Mitchell Frame did
in that final game. That was one of the games I was at actually, along with producer Jack. And they're getting that's. I don't know whether it's because they have to have a certain number of Scottish players, but they don't get the opportunities in the Premiership where they should. And instead, Brendan Rodgers will bring them on, and they'll actually look okay. Or Jude Bonner was on the bench.
Technically phenomenal players though. These guys.
It's just it's a head scratcher because you're like, how are they good enough to get a look in the Champions League, but they're not good enough to get a look in a 6-0 demolition of Dundee at home. In mid-December.
And now you get to this point where the squad's looking a bit light as well. Look at that Scottish Cup final we've talked about as well, where they ended the game with a team that doesn't look like a Celtic team. James Forrest was playing, got taken off, and then you've got an attack of Johnny Kenny, Yang, Greg Taylor centre mid, Luke McCowan, but that's like a million miles away from having a front three of like a hot Adamida if he's playing well. Kuhn, Maeda, Arnie Engels,
Jota,
Jota, as his family would call him.
Jota, or Yoto, as Brendan Rodgers called him.
Oh, he did, didn't he? But yeah, I think that shows there's a bit of lack of depth. So I think that finishes the Celtic talk off.
Yeah.
But also, it's not bad being a Celtic fan, is it? Can't be that bad.
No, yeah. They've got to sort of make poor decisions to give their fans something to be interested in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep them excited.
They can't be well run and win every title every year.
Right. Should we jump into extra time?
Let's do it.
I think we've got time for 2 challenges here.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Right. So the first one, I do have a challenge for you guys if you want to do it. Jump into that. And then we'll jump into one of the other ones we've worked on together as a team. Okay, so boys, I'm gonna get you guys. Yeah, you didn't see this one coming. It's coming out of nowhere. This one, all right? So over the last 3 seasons, I want you to name the top goal scoring midfielders in the SPFL.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
So have a little think. Who you're gonna guess first?
I've got one.
PFL.
I've got one already actually.
Go for it.
Think.
Callum Madrid. I'm sure he's up there.
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Not near it.
Midfielders. Callum Morrison.
Callum Morrison. Yep, number 2 on the list. 36 goals over the last 3 seasons.
Nice.
So this is across full SPFL.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, full SPFL.
I've got another one.
So-
The King. Dylan Easton.
The King.
Oh, wow.
Dylan Easton is on there. 25 goals.
What foot is he? Left or right? You tell me.
Both, I believe. Yeah, that's where we put the goal against there and down here.
No, not that one.
Yeah.
I don't think he scored that.
Oh.
I wasn't over the line.
Friend, follower of the podcast, Dylan Easton. There we go, we got it in. Right. Who else?
Wow. Oh my.
My back's getting a wee bit sore. Look, if you want
Right,
to.
that's plenty. You've only
Kenny.
just 2 sons. So try me jets.
That means our aggregate score is about 100 to 5.
Nice. Love it.
I'm joking.
Went to the slander, but here we are.
In the last 3
sorry,
seasons.
my list was slightly wrong. Dylan Easton's number 4, with 25. Number 4 with 25.
This is in the last 3 seasons, yeah.
Over the last 3 seasons, added up, yeah.
Is Luke McCowan in?
Luke McCowan is in there, yeah. He's also scored 25 goals over the last 3 seasons.
You took the challenge. Lyle Cameron,
Oh, you bump up.
based on that.
Lyle Cameron is there, 8th on the list with 22.
Well done, mate. That was my next
Top
one.
what, Callum, sorry?
8.
Top 8.
So I think I said 7 in my intro. It's meant to be top 8.
Is there going to be a...
And the term midfield is a bit loose. Obviously, we've got wingers.
Yeah.
Second strikers counted.
Second strikers are counting.
Yeah.
Cams. This is terrible. We really should be getting this. Who scored a lot of goals?
Calvin Miller.
That's not a bad shout.
I think he just misses out 20 goals.
Oh.
You've actually said most of the big hitters on this list.
We have.
Most of them, yeah.
Are there some lower league players?
Jump into League 2 if you fancy.
This is going to be tough. Adam Brown.
No, he just misses out as well.
Oh.
Good shout though. I think it was like 20.
Danny Handling.
Not a bad shout as well, but he's been out of the SPFL some of that time.
Oh,
so
okay.
Is Kieran Chance a striker then?
Yeah.
big time.
Seb Ross. Seb Ross.
Not a bad shout. Evie just misses out on this list.
Peter Pollitt.
Nah, that's a bad shout.
It's a bad
That was a good shout. That's a bad shout. Got one guy that did it all in one season in League 2.
All in one season.
All in one season.
Can we get a team
A
up?
few seasons ago. No, I think you'd get it right wherever gave you the team. And he got a move, but he's not actually scored a goal since.
A few seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Who would that be? Can you say where he moved to?
No.
No.
He scored 22 goals in one season and then hasn't scored since.
Alfie Agyeman.
Ooh, no. Ooh, no.
Miles Hippolyte.
What? Why is Miles Hippolyte getting brought into
Not
this?
last 13 seasons, last 3 seasons. Yeah, you take Miles Hippolyte's name out your mouth.
Wow.
Oh, this is
Number 1 on the list is gettable. League 2 player.
Alan Troughton.
Alan Trout,
Oh,
43
oh.
goals. He's the second striker on the list.
Nice.
Yeah. I would class him as a midfielder.
How many
Okay, thank you. So you need to get number 3 on the list. Quite difficult. Number 6 on the list. Number 7 on the list.
But they're gettable.
They're gettable, yeah.
They must be Premiership players then.
Not Connor Young.
Oh no, they're not gettable. They're difficult. Sorry.
Oh.
I was gonna say actually, there's some guys that just miss out on the list that are quite gettable, big name players, but they've just missed out by a goal.
Is Connor Young a striker, though?
Yeah.
Who's that goal scorer?
So you still have the guy that did it all in one season.
That's a difficult one.
That's a really struggle.
His team got relegated from League Two.
When?
The season he done it.
The season he'd done it. Albion Rovers.
Possibly.
Bobby Lynn.
No.
No, that's not who. That was just
No.
different. It wasn't.
Oh, is that just a different? Right. No,
Yeah,
you're a few
but I'm
years off of
thinking
Bobby. You're quite a lot of years off of Bobby
Ah.
from his goal scoring days. The good old days of Bobby Lynn.
Yeah.
We miss those days of Bobby Lynn.
Let's think of teams.
Goal
Let's think of
scoring
teams. Who's
Well, you've guessed one of the teams there. It wasn't Albion. He
Albion
got a
Rovers?
big. He got a big move.
Oh, down to Burnley.
No, not Joe Bevan.
Oh, it's Joe Bevan. Yeah, that's it.
Nah, I've not a clue.
Regan Mimno.
Ooh, no.
I'm done.
Regan Hendry. No, not the last.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. I'm lost here.
This is difficult. What leagues are the three in? We've got League Two.
Well, he plays in the Premiership now.
Brad Spencer.
No.
League Two. The League Two player plays in the Premiership.
Oh. Wow.
Who would that be?
I'm struggling.
Got bought by Dundee.
Huh?
From Albion. Spoon fed the whole thing to you now.
Oh, Connor Riley. What's his name?
Charlie Riley.
Charlie Riley.
Yeah, I have no
Got there in the end.
Oh, him.
There's one that I would not have expected to be on this list.
I
Man.
did spin feed that.
He's sort of just done it with consistent goal scoring, I suppose. But he's a League Two player, and I'd be shocked if you get it. His name is actually the same as a place in the Highlands.
Dingwall.
Yeah,
I don't know who that.
Russell Dingwall.
Russell Dingwall.
Albion. 26 goals, fair play, Russell Dingwall.
Nice play.
You've got one more, might be a bit more difficult. He was playing in League One last season.
Played Alston. It's a terrible shit.
Nah, not by Ralston.
Stephen School.
I'm done here. My brain's done.
Could be counted as a forward as well, to be fair. I guess it's a bit more on the line this one. He was
Adam
one of,
Doran.
no, one of the top scorers in League One last season. He actually moved club this summer.
Emsley.
No. Adam Emsley, no.
Is that a Cove player?
No. He's moved to League Two.
Bruh.
No, don't know. Mate.
Ross Cunningham.
Oh, okay.
Also on that list. So
Did he go?
you've gone Stirling Albion.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a bit surprised by that one, but good signing for the Beanos, yeah.
Decent.
You guys done alright on that, by the way?
Yeah, no,
I
thank
got
you.
6.
Yeah,
Big man
not
carried.
bad. That was difficult. That was difficult.
6.
Good challenge, Shankland.
Well, with 21, I thought you might have guessed. You had Jamie McGrath. You had Matt O'Reilly.
Oh, okay.
21.
Course,
But
yeah.
quite a lot of names on just like 22,
Yeah.
Calvin Miller and all that. I'm going to have to fact check all of these before I put that out as a short as well, because
Yeah.
anyone watching long form of this, there could be one or two in there that's a bit ropey. It was quite difficult research, that one.
That is difficult.
But it was quite
How
fun.
have you done that?
Oh, just in my brain, mate. Right, should we move on? I think we've got time for one more challenge.
Let's do it,
Wanna
yeah.
do it? Right, do you want me to introduce it?
Yeah, do it.
Right.
What one's he going to do? I'm intrigued.
It's going to be a fun one. It's slightly different as well. This one as well.
Oh, I know which one.
So, boys, can't see you.
Sorry.
You there? You
Can
there?
you sit back? Sorry.
Sit back a wee bit. Oh, there's Fraser's face. Right. This week it's Wimbledon, so we're gonna rank. That's beautiful. This week it's Wimbledon, so we're gonna rank the top 5 British athletes of all time.
Oh, solid.
Right, jumping in at number 5. Do you want to go for it? Do you remember who we've gone for?
No.
We defined our list before. This
Sorry,
is
sorry,
this
I
is
actually
behind.
did-
This is behind the
Put it
curtain.
down
This
on the
is-
laptop and then we'll. What are you doing? Of course. How could
So-
I would love to do this one. So coming in at number 5 on the UK's greatest ever athletes is Chris Hoy, Sir Chris Hoy.
Sir Chris Hoy.
Nice.
I think that's well deserved.
100% one of the greatest Scottish athletes as well. There's been.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I like it.
It's hard to debate. When I think of the Olympics,
London 2012. Cast your mind back.
Beijing 2008, London
Wow.
2012, Rio 2016, I think.
Yeah.
Would I be correct? 6 gold medals?
Yeah, he
Six
was
gold medals.
top of the list. I think it's a bit difficult now. I think Jason Kenny might have more.
I think Kenny
but
does, yeah.
He just doesn't have the aura. That
Doesn't have the
Chris Hoy
influence.
has.
The influence.
I remember the 2014 Commonwealth Games as well a wee bit.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Remember it a bit? You were young, of course. So.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Just had a nap before the. Just but great player, great cyclist, and also he's such a good sportsman. He turned his hand to NASCAR racing, I think. Not NASCAR. Rally driving, that's the one.
Well. 6 gold medals, how popular cycling was as well. I think he was such a massive driving force behind that. So, nice pick. And number 5?
Yeah, and also, just touch on, he's obviously had some terrible, sad health news. So, Chris Hoy, if you are watching, hope you're doing okay. But good guy, hero in my eyes.
Of course, I don't know why the way you said that you looked like you were not serious for a second.
No, I know, it's because it's a not serious podcast, and I'm not used to.
I'm not sure that's going in the TikTok, but I agree.
Yeah, no,
of course, yeah.
But inspiration,
guy.
Genuinely, and just a good, genuinely good guy.
Good guy.
I'm a big
easy pick. Number 5, repping for Scotland. Luke, take us away.
I think he should be higher personally, but
so 4th. We're going to go for, I would say, a legend of motor racing and now racing for Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton.
Fraser, you're scoffing.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand it and I accept it. And a lot of people probably say he should be higher, but I just find it sticks in my craw a little bit that he's the best in a sport that 0.0 whatever percent of the population, like it's. Like you don't get to try F1 racing at school, do you, boys? You're lucky if you go to a party and you get to try go-karting. It's not it's not a sport that everyone.
Right. That's a great clip. You're lucky if you go to a party and you get to try go-karting.
Like how can you be the greatest sportsman of all time if you're only in a sport that like the elite of the elite get to try, you know? But listen, he has dominated it.
Utterly dominated his field, and a very popular sport as well, isn't it?
It's on the rise, but it's not one you can go and try with your pals on a Sunday, is it?
It's not, but utterly dominant and all-timer, most definitely. Yeah, I've never seen someone get a slagging for being an all-time list as much as this Fraser.
Yeah, no, jeez.
No, I respect his greatness, but top 4 in the UK of all time. Come off it.
Is that too high?
For me personally, but no, I do understand. Like I get it. I do get it. So right. I'll accept defeat on that one.
Should we move on to the next one? I'm going to pull up the numbers here because there's just too many to remember for this guy. All right.
Oh.
It's too many. This is dominance. If we're talking dominance, oh my goodness, the list is just too long.
This is dominance.
All right. Number 3 on the list, Phil the Power Taylor.
There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're proper sportsman on.
If we're talking peak athletes, Phil. Wow. Yeah. Domination. Check. 14-time world champion. Incredible. Ooh. That guy was just untouchable at his best in one of the best sports there is as well. I think, in all fairness, you know, if he plays his cards right, Luke Littler could be the one guy in years to come, but he's got a long way to go to catch up with Phil. But yeah, that is just someone dominating their field, striking fear into their opponents. Phil the Power Taylor.
How many world championships was
14.
14. Wow. I think you know, some people might debate the
16 world match plays. Oh my goodness.
Darts it's up there. It's an elite level sport.
Yep.
Why it's not been at the Olympics yet, I'll never know. But 14 world championships in any sport. That's
especially with no one else is sniffing any of his records.
Yeah. And the thing is,
Van Goen's the only one that even gets near him in darts, and he's still so far away. And Van Goen's brilliant too. So
yeah.
Right, number 2. Do you want to take it?
I'd love to. Yes. Wales Golf Madrid. Gareth Bale coming in at 2.
Wow.
We needed a footballer in here. This is a football podcast, but Gareth Bale was on the spot on this list.
Yeah. He covers a couple of sports. So he's one of the greatest golfers and footballers.
I've always loved him, by the way.
But seriously, phenomenal. I thought I would quite happily see him that high on the list. He's one of the most talented footballers of our lifetime. Mm-hmm.
Individual moments at the most important moments as well. Yeah. He has it all. Winning Champions Leagues, leading his national team with pride as well. He's done so much, and a lot of English players as well can maybe have a sniff at this. We mentioned a couple of Scottish ones as well.
Yep. Dennis Law will be disappointed not to have made the list. And then
King
Kenny, of course.
That's a shout.
But we've given it to Gareth Bale.
Gareth Bale, I think it's well deserved. He's won a Champions League. Well, he's won
Multiple.
4 or 5, but he won one single-handedly with that greatest goal in Champions League history. He dragged his country to a semi-final of a European Championships, a country that should never have made a semi-final, and maybe will never in the future, because it was because of him. It was a good team, but because of him, he dragged them through so much quality, and yeah, some of the greatest individual performances I've seen.
That bicycle kick. Watch that in my dreams.
Yeah. The bicycle kick, the Inter Milan in the San Siro, Mycon still goes to sleep thinking of Gareth Bale running past
by that. Right, we've got consensus number 1 here. Luke, who is number 1?
He's the GOAT. It's all time. Andy Murray. I love it. Sir Andy Murray.
Sir Andy Murray.
Yeah. I think we're pretty happy with that pick there as well. Did something that no Brit could do for a long, long time, and became a Grand Slam tennis champion.
Yeah.
I could show you my work, and if anyone wants to contact me and ask me why Andy Murray is top of that list, I'll talk for hours. He is the greatest tennis player Scotland's ever produced, the UK has ever produced. He's, I think, top 10 of all time. Mm-hmm. People talk about the big 4, and some people say it didn't exist. Of course it existed.
Yeah.
Andy Murray played and competed with the top 4, or the top 3, the big 3. Beat them on multiple occasions. He beat Djokovic in Grand Slam finals, and the
Wimbledon wins so iconic.
Yeah, exactly. 2013 and 2016.
And not to mention as well, I think often forgotten as well, those 2 Olympic victories as well. That is so huge. Something that a lot of other big name tennis players were desperate to do, and Andy Murray had it on lock. 2012, 2016. And
talk about Gareth Bale's influence for club and country. Andy Murray's influence on the country. He dragged Team GB to the Davis Cup,
an
first
iconic
title
Davis
in
Cup,
about 80 years, 70 years or something. And I do actually think if you want to really judge a sportsman's greatness, look at their legacy. And if you speak to any up and coming British tennis player right now, they'll say that Andy Murray is probably a significant reason as to how they're where they are. So.
He made kids want to go and get a tennis racket up and down the country.
Me, 100%.
So there's that, and then
no doubt about it.
He looks a bit like you, speaks a bit like you.
What can I say? That is the most flattering piece of...
he has a wee bit more of the humour side of things, but...
Anyway.
Andy Murray.
That's fair enough. He's a very funny man. Often misunderstood. Not from me.
And
has me chuckling. I've met him.
And of course he's British when he wins, Scottish when he loses, iconically.
Yeah.
But he's comfortable number 1 on this list. And we'd probably say as well, what an era of tennis he played. And the fact he competed with Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, he would have won a lot more if they weren't about. That's no disservice to him. That's credit to them.
He beat them all.
So what a legend, and the perfect way to wrap up this podcast, I think, guys.
That's it.
So Wimbledon's on. We should just get some strawberries and creams, bit of Pimm's. Go watch the rest of that.
Yeah. I bloody love some Pimm's right now, boys.
I've got a wee question for you, right?
Well, is it going to take more than 5 minutes?
No. What is the fruit that's on top of the Wimbledon trophy?
A pineapple.
Oh,
bingo! Very quick, very nice. There you go.
Do you know why?
No, mate.
Oh, right.
Do you know why?
I believe it's because it was seen as being very exotic back then.
Nice.
So what's the most exotic thing we can think of? A bloody pineapple. Yeah, chuck it on there.
Nice.
So pineapple, So pineapple, grapefruit.
SpongeBob, Wimbledon. Who'd have thought?
I know.
How Met Your Mother? Pineapple Instant. Yeah. Anyone seen that?
No.
Brilliant, of course I have.
Get watching, mate. It's a mystery. I've been thinking about it ever since. Where did that pineapple come from? Why did the pineapple end up there? I'm not sure. We'll come back to you next week with some answers. Luke, wrap this one up.
Joga Bonito is finito. Don't no changing.
Lovely.